I wanted to have you on because so often as things change in company, we can start to complicate this business when this business is always about the same thing. It's always about people and us being able to help them, whether it's in the home or as we build a team, as we help people get financially free. And just that simple message, right? That simple message that should be like, oh, this is really easy. And it is when we concentrate on the right things. But Danny, I've gotten to see you grow a team this past month. And this was just in the last week of the month. You guys were already at 120 new writers for the month. I'm sure you guys eclipsed that, but well over 3 million in production coming off of a record month. You've become a leader of leaders and just help people on this pathway to financial freedom as they start in this business, just trying to get their first apps done, to going to building a team, to getting the leverage of having a business, having an agency here, and then becoming direct to the company and equity partners. I had the chance to work with some of your team this past week, and I just see you reflected in all of it, and that simple message that people matter, and we're here to get results through relationship. So Danny, thanks for being on with us, and really look forward to just having a chat with you and inviting other people into this conversation that I think is the most important conversation we can have. So thank you for being here with us this morning, Danny.
Hey, it's my pleasure. And you know what your team doesn't know is that my team is a result of one phone call that the founders set up with you about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks after we got here. I think there was maybe 8 of us at the time, Brian, and we didn't, believe it or not, we didn't know come here from Sickle. And you know, we just got out there and got after it. I was the first Symmetry agent 9 years ago, first Symmetry agent in the state of Louisiana. Tom Chisholm was the first one in Oklahoma. I mean, the Symmetry was a East Coast company at that time, believe it or not. And you know, we had come from a similar IMO, but we didn't know how the leads would work. We didn't know how the carriers worked, how the applications worked. We didn't know any of that stuff. You know, we didn't know that AMAM didn't like people with high blood pressure. You know, I live in Louisiana where it's a state law that you have high blood pressure, okay, because we have a minimum daily requirement of grease that we have to eat. And so, you know, but the owner said, I want to get you on a call with Brian Delaney. And I'm telling you that one call was, and I don't say that just because you're here. I've told lots and lots and lots of people. This is when I first saw that everybody in Symmetry will help everybody else. You know, it's not like that in corporate America, for example. It's not like that anywhere else, to tell you the truth. And so I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate you as a person. I appreciate you for what you've done for my team. I really wish you would change your story and quit telling people you came from construction, because you can't talk like you talk when you have a construction background. You know, you were in my home last week and we were sitting there having a conversation and it was like freaking frack. You know, I'm 114 years old. You're like 30. You got an IQ up in the mid 100s, 200, somewhere like that. And I'm struggling. I'm struggling to stay in triple figures. But this company doesn't care about that kind of stuff. You know, this company, this opportunity is all about what you do with you. You know, it doesn't really matter. You know, Brian and I have competed since I've been here. I watched him grow. He's got a tremendous agency. You know, what he went through maintaining his entire agency with Jimmy Spiel dinners, you know, it's just not a normal human being that can put up with all that stuff and deal with all that stuff and still have a big old agency. So I'm one of your biggest fans, man. I really am. Whatever you want to talk about today, we'll talk about. If I have anything that can help anybody, then you're welcome to it. I have what I call an attic up here. Y'all are welcome to crawl up there and dig around. If you see something you like, take it. If you don't want it, leave it. Somebody might want it next week, you know? So I'm all yours, buddy. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, just coming off that, well, first of all, I just really appreciate our relationship. And that call was also the beginning of a new evolution of my business, where I realized how important that not only doing the work in your business, but working on yourself so your business can grow up to you was such a big deal. And I really think that would be a great place to start, because we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And when you started to let me know that if I could grow myself as a person, that my team would grow. Can you talk a little bit more about the importance of that for people just from day one as they're getting their career started with us, and how much more important it gets over time?
Yeah, I did my call last night, Brian. I do a Sunday night call for 30 minutes or so. And last night was a topic I had been wanting to talk about for a while, because people ask me all the time, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And basically, I don't tell. I'm talking about people in the business, okay? But this is, you mentioned that how I keep things simple. And a lot of people say that. What they don't understand is I don't have much of a choice, okay? I think simple. I look simple. I'm simple, okay? But let me tell you something. Simple and easy aren't the same thing, okay? This thing is simple. It's not easy, but it is, to me, it's simple. And here's my job in this order. And this is what I deal with every day. I work on this every day, Brian. Number one, I got to grow myself. Number two, I have to identify players. And number three, I have to develop leaders. That's my total job right there. And I think what people don't understand is that you can't have two and three without doing one first. You have to grow yourself, because you cannot have an agency that's bigger than you. If you're a 5 on a leadership scale, then you're only going to be able to attract and keep 4s and 3s and 2s and 1s. And Maxwell says that. He said if you're a 4 and you really work your butt off and become a 5, ain't nobody going to pay money to watch a 5. But if you're a 6 and you work your butt off and become an 8 or 9, people will pay money to watch that. Okay, and so that's all I've ever had to do, because I knew when I started. Because you understand, I've been in a business like this. I've been in the insurance business for 38 years. In the building insurance industry, I've built agencies in 3 different places. But when I first started, I'm telling you, I couldn't lead a person out of a room made out of doors, Brian. That's how bad I was. Okay, when I was, some of y'all know I was with Primerica for 21 years, which is like being 100 years anywhere else. Okay, but when I first started, I recruited 9 people my first 3 weeks, 9 people, and that's when I found out that I didn't have a clue what to do with those people. I knew how to get myself to work. I knew how to get myself to attend. I knew how to get myself to do the things I needed to do. I didn't have a clue of how to get somebody else to do something. So what I did was I killed all 9 of them. Okay, I mean, I killed them dead. They didn't have a chance. When I realized one guy didn't see things like I saw him, I killed him. I just set him on fire. But see, I learned from that. One of the things that I've really done well is that I've made every mistake once. Okay, once. It doesn't make sense to me. If you've got a child that touches a hot stove every day, you might want to look into that. Okay, it doesn't take me long to realize the stove is hot. So I learned from that. So I went and got some more people, and I didn't kill but half of them. It's all a learning process, and it's all dealing with people. So I have to grow me, and the way I grow me is the same way I talk to my team every Sunday night. How do you grow yourself? Number one, you read. Easiest way to grow yourself, you read. I read a lot, Brian, a lot of biographies, because biographies just tell me every single time that every successful person struggled on their way to success. People come here and they think it's going to be just sit in a contract and go check your mailbox every day for checks. This thing doesn't work that way. Okay, there's some intermediate stuff that's got to take place, okay, before you can get paid. But it's not just that here. It's everywhere. Anybody, Steve Jobs, Ben Franklin, they all struggle. Look up struggle and success in the dictionary and see which one comes first. It's the way it is here. So you're going to struggle, and so you have to grow yourself. But reading, I think, is the simplest way to grow yourself. Secondly, I had to learn how to associate with the right people. See, and back to reading. Look, when I got in the insurance industry, I was 37 years old, Brian. Only 2 things I read were the Sports Page and Sports Illustrated. That was it at age 37. I had to start reading different things. And so the second thing I learned is I had to associate with the right people, because you're going to become who you hang with. That's just a fact. Okay. You're going to become like them. And so when I got in the insurance business, I got to hang with more successful people, and success has its own language. You got to learn that language. And so then I had to attend. That's another great way to grow yourself. See, I went to everything. I was never ever good enough to miss stuff. Even when I grew up in athletics, I never was good enough to not practice harder than other people, not show up earlier than other people, stay later than other people. I was never good enough. And when I like here, I haven't missed anything, because everything you go to, I don't care. Look, I don't care if you read 10 pages, or you have a dial session, or you have a huddle up, or you go to a blitz, or you go to a conference. Every single thing you do here gets you another piece to your puzzle that you're trying to put together here. We're all trying to put the same puzzle together. And if you miss something, you don't get that piece. You may think you'll get it next time you go, but you may never get it. See, I never was good enough to take that chance of missing out on a piece. And what I really can't do is I can't have Brian go to something that I don't go to. He gets a piece to his puzzle and uses that piece to beat the crap out of my team. See, I can't, I'm not willing to do that. So I go to everything. But the last piece is the one that most people have the most trouble with. Struggle. Struggle is your friend. You need to write that down. Struggle is your friend. Struggle makes you stronger, not weaker. See, if you break a bone in your arm, if they set that thing right, when it heals, it's stronger than it was before you broke it. Same thing with struggle. So you go through a little struggle. You think, look, when you get here, a struggle for you is you got to lead with a bad phone number. I mean, oh Lord, where's the bridge? I need to jump off a bridge. See, but once you get through that struggle, you're stronger. At the end of that struggle, you're stronger. It may have taken you 2 minutes. It may have taken you 2 days or 2 weeks to get through it, but you're stronger. And all that does is prepare you for the next struggle. And when you get through that one, it makes you struggle. And then you go through enough struggle and you get knocked down enough and get up enough that you become like a Brian Delaney. See, Brian gets knocked down. The problem is he's gotten up so quick, you didn't see him go down. That's what your winners do. So when you have a struggle, instead of going home and locking the doors and turning the lights off and getting in bed, pull the covers over your head and hope it goes away, how about if you rejoice? How about if you go buy like a cupcake or something at the store and put a candle in and have a little party with yourself, okay? Because you are getting stronger. You need to rejoice in the fact that you're getting stronger. So that's all I do, right? I deal with this stuff every day. I read, I associate, I attend, I struggle. I grow myself. I don't spend nearly as much time in my business as I spend on myself. And we all some people have a little short trip from getting where they are to where they want to go. Most of us don't. Okay. I mean, when I started the insurance industry, I hated insurance and I despised sales. How's that for a start? Okay. But see, my family outweighed my fears. We had 2 kids in private school, and I wanted to keep them in private school, and I wasn't making enough money to do that. So I got in the insurance industry out of desperation. Best thing ever happened to me. So, but that's what I do. My first thing is I've got to grow me, because see, the bigger I grow me, the bigger people I can attract. See, small people have big problems. Everything's a problem with small people. Big people have small problems. So I grow me, because see, a little person can only build a little team. A little team doesn't help very many people at all. And here's the fact, you're not going to attract big players to a little team that's playing a little game. You're not. So you got to grow yourself. And when you do, the bigger you grow the bigger the people you can attract. And you don't, everything's not a crisis. I don't have any crisis in my life anymore. I don't have any stress anymore. Brian, spent 2 days with us, and there wasn't a whole lot of stress floating around in our house. Okay. It's just not. But it's all because.
Is the steak the right temperature? Is it like was there enough butter to cook it properly?
These are what we deal with. Right. I mean, my tea glass is getting low. What's going on here? These are problems we deal with. So I have to grow myself. Second thing is I got to identify players. Now, here's the cool thing about identifying players. So and the bottom line with Symmetry, here's what Brian's trying to do. Here's what everybody on this call is trying to do. See, we recruit agents. Some of them we develop into leaders, and we build our agencies with those leaders. It's not everybody. Understand this, okay? It is not everybody. We are a leadership development company. The reason Brian Delaney has the agency he has is because he has helped develop leadership in his agency. It's not him. He's one locomotive. You can only pull so many rail cars with one locomotive. He has to develop other locomotives, and that's what he's looking for on a daily basis, okay? And it's not everybody. Some of y'all think you can take a pig and teach that pig how to sing. Let me tell you something. Pig ain't gonna learn how to sing, and you're gonna be all frustrated all day long, okay? You don't make people. You identify people. And the cool thing is, see, a great thing, Brian, from coming from an athletic background is I'm really nothing more than a coach, to tell you the truth. Coaches look for talent. They look for people who can play that particular sport. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a great basketball player, if you're a football coach, okay? Football coaches look for people who can play football. But here's the big secret, okay? Players identify themselves. All you have to do as a coach is pay attention. And those players will identify themselves to you because they ask the right questions. They go to stuff. They have a good attitude. They have a work ethic. They're team players. They self-study. They self-improve. These are players. And these are the people. This is the biggest mistake, Brian. I say one of the biggest mistakes that people make as they maybe even as they become agency owners. I do believe as an agency owner, your biggest, and this is me and you right here, buddy. Our biggest decision every day is who gets our time. And I'm going to tell you, every minute that you give to the wrong person, you stole from the right person. That's why you have to identify players, because the players are the ones that get your time because they earn it. Okay, people have to earn Brian Delaney's time, and that's not an uppity thing. That's just a fact. He's got the same 168 hours in his week that you have in your week, and he's got to make sure if he's trying to get where he's trying to get, he's got to make sure he does the right things with that time. So identifying players is huge. Okay, you have to give your time to those people that have earned it by what they're doing on a daily basis. And the last thing you got to do is you got to develop leaders. And that, here's the problem. It takes a leader to develop a leader. So another reason you got to get big. I'm talking about big you. I'm talking about between your ears big. Okay. I'm talking about mindset big. That's what you got to do. But you grow your team's going to grow. That's just a fact. Okay. But it's not going to grow if you don't grow yourself. And so that's what I just try to get my people to focus on is getting big. And look, here's how you get stronger. You get bigger, you get better. You get bigger by building something. Okay, I hear all the time. I got people tell me, well, this guy's a great leader. He's a great leader. How many people he got? Well, he doesn't have any people yet. Well, I think if you look up leader, I think number one requirement is you got to have somebody to lead. Am I right? So leaders have people. But here's another good thing. The leader doesn't make the players. The player makes the leaders. See, Brian doesn't make the people. I don't make the people on my team. The people on my team make me. The more leaders I help develop, the better coach I look. Okay, and the less I have to do for them, because believe it or not, your players need less of your time than anybody. It's the very nice people and the very draining people in your agency, Brian, that want all your time. But it's the very important people and the very teachable people that deserve all your time. So that's the three things I do. I grow myself, I identify players, and I develop leaders. That's it. And that's, there's some moving parts in that, but really I just focus on those things every day.
Yeah. I love that. So much gold. Digging for gold in Fort Knox right here. This is awesome. But you said a couple of things that I want to go back to. Okay. You get bigger as you build. That was, I wanted to get bigger by doing what I was doing better, right? I wanted to get bigger by learning how to produce first. And once I had that 100%, once I was an expert at that, then I could start to really help these other people. And that's what I thought I wanted. What it turned out I needed to do was I needed to learn how to lead, starting with leading myself, to do the
Right.
things that I was going to ask these other people to do and get as many people as possible in that beginning to do that with me. And so it had to be something that happened early, because if they were going to grow with me, I needed to invite them in while I was growing. And growing is absolutely a lifelong process, but that growth through those first stages is so important. And so it wasn't until I started to identify people and watch them struggle with the same things, and I saw those problems, the problems that they were dealing with getting started. And I was like, oh, I already know how to deal with those, that I was actually able to put my chin up above the sales and just knock the sales out a lot easier and be accountable to a team. That's when all the growth started happening, because I had bigger problems. And some of those problems were not how do I get myself to, but what's stopping these other people from getting to the next step. And I could see it so much more clearly in other people rather than in myself. And when it comes to starting to lead, some of the books that you recommended to me, a lot of John Maxwell. And I remember starting to read How to Develop the Leader Within You. Right. And then read How to Develop the Leaders Around You. And then started 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And then The Success Journey. I remember you recommended reading The Success Journey. I read that book and then started to read some of Art Williams stuff, Coach. All you can do is all you can do, but all you can do is enough. It was these lessons, right, that allowed me to start leading other people and leading myself at the same time. But those two things had to happen as close together as possible, because nobody was going to throw a parade for me paying my bills or filling my gas tank or doing any of that stuff by selling a few policies. What was really going to help is watching other people, right? Because I had Edward's story. I had my story. But now watching other people get past some of those initial hurdles and become partners with me, rather than stay at that project level where there was always a problem. There was always something to deal with. Like, I believe people who never win in this business are great at identifying problems. I believe people who are going to be great in this business, they get great at identifying people who already have those problems solved. Right. And that's where, our relationship really grew, because I identified you who already had a lot of those problems solved, as I was identifying a leadership team on my own team who were great problem solvers, right? They weren't great problem spotters. They weren't the ones who said, oh, I've got this problem, I have this problem, I have this problem. They were really great at seeing those problems and saying, I have just the solution for that. I'm going to go out and I'm going to work, and their talents put together a leadership team here that's so strong, just like you have yours. So if you could talk about just those initial stages where people are looking for that comfort, they're looking for that certainty of like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to sell 5 policies. I'm going to go out, I'm going to write 20,000, and I'm going to do that for a year, get my finances comfortable. And then I'm going to start building a team when there's no chance of being embarrassed that I don't know what I'm doing, because that's a very common mindset, but we're not here to do common things. So if you could talk about that a little bit, that'd be great.
No, I think that most people come here thinking that this may be a lot easier than it is. Okay, because they look around, they see the success you're having, they see the success a lot of people are having. They don't understand that you and I have like identical journeys here. Okay, we had some success, we got knocked down, we got back up, and on and on and on. Okay, same story. If you win here, we all got the same story. But what I do with new people, Brian, I don't. If somebody tells me that they want to learn everything before they do anything, I tell them, yeah, go. That's a good idea. Keep me posted on how that works out for you, okay? Because look, this is not a business where it's a business where the fast eat the slow. Let me put it that way, okay? It's not a business where the big eat the small. The fast eat the slow, and slow people are those people that want to learn everything before they do anything. This is a business. But there's 2 ways of learning things. Okay, Jim Rohn said you can learn 2 ways. You can learn by studying. You can learn by doing. I would recommend that you learn by doing. And it's a business where you do things wrong until you get them right, and then you keep doing them until you can't get them wrong. That's what we do here. But look, it's hard for some people. Some people just say, "Well, I'm not going to talk to anybody about the business till I'm successful." Well, you could do that. That's a bad idea. Okay. Because you're not the only one that knows the people that you're trying to recruit. Somebody else is going to recruit them while you're still studying. So I have a conversation with every new person, Brian, because you know that when you were here, I guess maybe a couple of years before I got here, and when I got here, I think they were still faxing us leads. Okay, I mean it was archaic, but we have so much stuff now. This thing is so smooth now; it is unbelievable. Somebody can build something now, Brian, because used to, you know this, you'd go recruit somebody, then you'd have to kind of move in with them in their home to make sure they didn't quit in the first 4 or 5 days, okay? It was more of a babysitting business than anything else. Now, look, the way they've got it set up now, you go get a person, you put them in Quility, and you go get another person, and you put them in Quility, and you don't stop doing that, and Quility will spit out the weak ones. You don't have to do it. You know, I've got people tell me, this guy's going to be such a stud. He's absolutely unbelievable. Where is he? He's in pre-license. How long have you been there? 9 months. Okay. He's not going to be a stud. Okay. Let me help you with that real quick. 9 months in pre-licensing does not describe a stud. So once again, Symmetry is doing so much of the work for us that we used to have to do just 3 or 4 years ago. And so, but I have a conversation with people, Brian, when they first get contracted, okay? Because I want to know, I have to know how to coach somebody. And so what I don't want is what you were talking about. I don't want people to come here with unreasonable expectations. I don't want them to come here and think that they can, give us 2 hours a week and make $100,000 a year their first year. I need them to understand the reality of this business. And so I give them a little pop quiz, okay? It's pretty simple. 2 questions. Number 1, I need you to tell me if you would rather, A, come here and produce. You would have access to our leads. We're going to teach you how to dial. We're going to teach you how to set appointments. We're going to teach you how to run appointments. We're going to teach you how to write apps. We're going to teach you how to get them issued. We're going to teach you how to get paid. And you can do that once a month, or you can do that once an hour. We don't care. No minimums, no quotas. And you can do it till the cows come home. We don't care if that's what you want to do. And we're going to help you do that. And how much you're going to do is going to be determined by how much money you want to make. Totally up to you. Or you can do B. Would you like to build an agency where you attract people to your business? We're going to help you train those people. And if you build it big enough, which is not really that big, you're going to become what we would call an agency manager. At that point, you get a contract from Symmetry giving you ownership of your agency. It's going to stay in your family for generations if you wanted to. Now, I just need you to tell me which one of these things you'd rather do so I know how to coach you. And if somebody says they want to produce, then outstanding. I talk to them about how much money they like to make, and I back up from that number and show them what they're going to have to do in order to make that number, okay? Then I'm going to get somebody else to deal with them. If they say they want to build, then they get question number 2. Let's talk about who you'd like to build with. Do you know anybody, for example, like to make extra $1,500, $2,000 a month part-time, won't affect their full-time job at all? You know anybody like that? Somebody's a people person. And they may say, well, look, matter of fact, I talked to my brother-in-law 2 days ago. He said they got to cancel their Disney trip with their kids in December because inflation's so high, food's so high, gas is so high, everything's so high. See, here's what I'm thinking immediately. I want to talk to the brother-in-law. But see, if he tells me, well, I got an uncle, hadn't had a job since 1970. Well, we're going to put him on the back burner. We're not going to start with him, okay? So this is the conversation I have. But I tell them there are things that you're going to have to do. This is my goal for you. I want you to get paid ASAP. And I want you to make the money here that you want to make, not the money that I expect you to make. I want you to have your own financial goals, whatever that is. And whatever they are, if somebody tells me they want to make $500 a month just to pay tuition, I said, man, I'm going to tell you what, I need a bunch of people that want to make $500 a month. We're going to help you do that. They want to make $5,000 a month. Look, I need a lot of people that want to make $5,000 a month. We're going to show you how to do that. And so it's just that conversation, because I'm not going to let them go out there and run around not knowing what they're doing, because as soon as somebody feels like they're overwhelmed, as soon as they feel like they're lost, as soon as they feel like this is just too much, they're going to leave. I don't want people to leave. See, when I recruit somebody, Brian, I got plan A, plan B. Plan A is I want this person to be with me forever. Plan B is if this person is not going to be with me forever, I want him or her to have brought me somebody that's going to be here forever. So my first conversation is always going to be about getting my new person a person, just so it's a lock nut for my new person. Okay. That's the only thing really that keeps people around. Contracts don't keep them around. Leads don't keep them around. Money sometimes doesn't even keep them around. Okay. But overrides keep people around. Having somebody keeps people around. And so I want people to come and stay. And so that's what I've talked to them about. And I hope they want to build, because builders stay. Producers a lot of times don't, because it's just over a period of time. It's hard to get up every day and have it all on you. Brian, you wrote a ton of business. I know when you first came here, I just never was very good at that. Okay. I didn't. Now I've got a lot of clients because I went into homes and I was good at selling the value of them doing what we offered. Okay. So, but that's what I do. I want people to stay. See, I want to keep the ones I have, and I want to add to those. That's how you grow your business. But it's back to growing yourself. If you're gonna have a bunch of people plug into you, you have to be strong. A lot of people, when they first get here, they're just not strong enough to where when one other person plugs into them, they both die, and that's not good for anybody. Okay, so that's the biggest reason that you have to get strong. You have to be able to carry the emotional load for your team. That's what Brian does, and you got to be able to let other people plug into you. And how strong you are between your ears is going to determine how many people can plug into you without all y'all dying.
So true. And for me, what I found is if it's convenient to solve the problem, I'll let the problems pile up. But when it's a necessity to solve the problems, because I have to solve my problems to set an example for other people to follow, right? That's when I actually solved them. And by solving those, I got stronger, and it was miraculous. As I got stronger, this opportunity got better. Imagine how that happened, right? And so there were times where after I started building the team that I wanted to quit because that week leads were hard, or I went through a couple of weeks of not making any sales and doing those things. And if I hadn't had a team, there would have been a size of problem that would have made me quit, right? It would eventually, especially if I wasn't going along and becoming the type of person who could get results, there would have been, but it was a team that held me accountable to that, because I saw that, hey, look, there's an opportunity here that's the greatest opportunity out there. I was watching people like Edward Pritchett go from making $27,000 a year to $27,000 a month to $27,000 in a day. I was watching his life stair step up, and I was like, how is his life stair stepping up? Oh, he's solving his problems. He's finding other people who are players. And I was one of those people. And so for me not to follow that track, right, and to create that necessity to solve my problems. Okay, my problem is I'm in a rut, right? I can't let these other people down. I can't make this thing look hard, right? So it's amazing how as we build a team, the size of the problems we can handle gets bigger and bigger, and the quality of this opportunity gets greater and greater. It gets greater and greater. You watch that duplication, you watch that leverage. And that really is the thing that kept me here over time, because life gets difficult at times. Life gets challenging, and it's going to get challenging whether you're doing this or doing anything else. And that's something that I've seen you display is when life gets challenging, are you going to be the only one running your business? When life gets challenging, are you going to go through it alone, or are you going to go through it with a team? Right? When something's heavy that we got to pick up, are you going to be the one shouldering all that burden, or are you going to have some extra hands under that box lifting that up? Are you going to have some extra hands under these problems, lifting them up and showing how we can take care of these things easy and set a path for people not to avoid these problems, but to go through them quicker? Yeah. And that's what I hear you say. If you keep the production process simple, right, then the problems get easier to deal with. And that's where we get so complicated around that production. And I love how you simplify this part of the business. I remember you talking about how you viewed production and what your job was when you were sitting in those homes. Can you talk a little bit about what you were trying to do with them as far as helping people protect their stuff?
Well, yeah, my presentation wasn't exactly polished. Okay. I mean, I about every house I went in, I told people that, my stuff's protected. I'm just like you, because, guys are kind of, I think a lot of guys have made it about 200 yards past the cave. Okay. That's about how much we've evolved. the spouse is sitting there saying, please get this, please get this. He's sitting there with a Superman cape on. So, I mean, I talked basically to the guy saying that, look, you're just like me. I said, I work hard, I make money, I get paid, I buy stuff. My house is part of your stuff. Car is part of your stuff. Your income is part of your stuff. I said, now, I'm really not a big fan of having to pay for insurance, but I'm also not a big fan of me dying unexpectedly and somebody showing up and taking my house that I work for away from my family. So my stuff's protected. I'd rather pay an insurance company a little money every month, make sure my stuff's protected. And the only reason I'm here tonight is see if you want to protect your stuff. And they either do or they don't. I never begged. I wasn't a convincer. If somebody, there's no cure for stupid, okay? If somebody is stupid enough, I mean, I've had, dozens of people tell me, well, I just don't think I'm going to die anytime soon. I said, well, I've got your lead sheet here. It's got your date of birth on there. If you just go ahead and give me your date of death, I'm going to come back about 30 days sooner before that. And I'm going to really hook your family up, okay, if you go ahead and give me that date. And I just look at them, And at that point, they hated me, which I don't care because I knew I'd never see them again anyway. But I never see, here's the important thing about that, Brian. I did my best in every house, did my best on every appointment. If somebody didn't buy and they should have bought, I smiled, I shook their hand, I left. I said, if you know anybody that wants to protect their stuff, here's my card. Have them call me or you call me or whatever. I'd go and I'd get in my car and before I back out of the driveway, I'd take their lead sheet and I'd scratch a hole through their name with my pencil. And by the time I got to the first stop sign, I couldn't think of their name. See, I never drug somebody didn't buy from me into the next house because that affects you. Okay. I wasn't willing to let that affect me. People are going to buy. The right people are going to buy, I'm telling you. We're looking for people that are looking for us. And you look at the numbers, you see what Symmetry is doing. When you showed up, Brian, they were doing 300,000 a month. When I showed up, they're doing $1 million a month. Now we're doing 15, 16 million a month. Somebody's buying something. Okay. That's all I know. And so it's all with you. And see, if somebody had an awful, this is something I don't do. Okay. And a lot of y'all might, it's fine if you do. I never sat with an agent and rehashed his awful night the night before. Okay. That's like somebody getting their cat run over in the street. Their cat died, and here 10 years later, they still want to take you out in the street and show you where Muffy was. Okay. And I just don't do that. Okay. And the reason I don't do it is because I can't fix it. I can't change what happened last night. Here's what I can change. I can change today, and I can change tomorrow and next week and next month. I can change the rest of your life with this opportunity. But I can't fix last night. I can't help it if they weren't home. It wasn't me. I was home. Okay. I can't change that. And so I don't deal at all. I know some people want to sit with people and go through their appointment, all that kind of stuff. I don't do it because what I want is I want their appointment. I want their focus on the next appointment. Whether somebody buys, whether somebody's home, whether somebody doesn't buy, I want their first thought to be next. Who's next? Who we got to see next? Because look, you can change your life in the next appointment. So you got to get to it. Okay. And you're going to get to it quicker if you're not worried about your last appointment or last week. I had a terrible month. Doesn't matter. Can't change it. Let's get this month. So once again, it's all part of, see, Brian, believe it or not, me and you, we're in the behavior modification business. Okay. We have to get people, because we had to modify our behavior in order to win here. We have to get people to modify their behavior if they're going to win here. Because there's certain things you're going to have to do, and growing yourself is number one on the list. Okay. And look, once again, if you had a bad week, that grew you. Rejoice. You had a bad day, rejoice. Believe it, tomorrow's going to be better, because it is going to be better, because you're going to make it better. Okay. So, I don't get caught up in stuff that I can't change at all. I don't let them talk about it to me. Okay. They can talk about it among themselves. They won't. It's a bad idea. But I'm going to talk about today and tomorrow, next week, and the rest of your life, if you'll do certain things. Okay. We got to stay on this thing. This is not about getting on it and then getting off of it when you have a bad day and taking 2 weeks off to recover. It's about getting on it and staying on it. And anybody can get on it. It's the staying on it that separates those who can from those who don't.
So true. And if we pay the price for the struggle that's right in front of us, right, it never accumulates to be a cost so high that it overcomes us. And that was it. I would procrastinate on it. I would live in that negativity. That an event would happen, and you would have thought that was my whole life in that moment. But yeah. I had to start growing myself And I had to start becoming the type of person where that problem it didn't even show up on my radar anymore because I wasn't focused on myself. I was focused on others.
Right.
I was focused on others. And it's amazing how when we get something, we try to keep it, right? But when we start to give it away, that's when this thing becomes really great. That's when things become really great, because when we start to give this opportunity away, my problems seem small, other people's problems seem big. And the great news is I can only solve my problems. They can only solve their problems. It's my mindset that's going to really matter when it comes to solving my problems. And it's going to be my mindset with how I solve those problems. It's going to set the standard for the team that's going to grow with me, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to be in a position, not where 4 or 5 years from now, you're trying to outsell yourself, but 4 or 5 years from now, you're barely recognizable as compared to the person who walked in the door. Right. We were talking about that idea with the driver's license, right? When we were sitting in your living room, and it made me think and made me laugh, because a lot of people think, oh, well, Danny Young came in here so developed, or some of these top leaders came in here so developed, and we all came in here the same way, new.
Right.
We all came in here new. It wasn't how we came in here; it was what we did once we got here. And you just have continued to demonstrate. There's a specific question that I wanted to hit on here. And I remember doing this early on when I had a team, because I knew that the secret to my people was my people. That the secret to my people was my people. And as long as people knew that the relationships, they could feel that the relationships were healthy, that they were going to be supported, that this process is going to be simple, it was amazing how they would share this opportunity, right? You can always see the same things when people know that relationships are healthy, that the processes are simple, that they're going to be supported. They'll share this opportunity with other people. So I believe it was Karen Zelaya asked, would you have your team members, your downlines, run second appointments to train them when new? And if so, how soon?
Say that in English, will you? When I have my new people?
Yeah. Would you have your new people, as they're identifying people, running the interviews?
You talking about recruit interviews?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do 3-way calls every day of my life. Every day of my life. Okay. Now, typically, the ones I get to talk to mostly, Brian, if I got somebody trying to recruit somebody that's in their 50s, they don't think anybody talk to them about an old guy like me. Okay. So they're gonna think they identify with me. But I would much prefer early on, especially new people, I would much prefer them being the credibility and me being the expertise on a 3-way call with, say, the brother-in-law that we talked about. Okay. I want them to hear how I talk to people, because I want them to understand, first of all, that it's not an interrogation, it's a conversation. Okay. I want these people to take a look at coming here, and they're going to do that if at the end of this conversation, they have a couple of thoughts. Number one, this thing is bigger than I thought it was. And number two, I want to do this. And number three, I want to do it with these people. That makes sense? And so that's the purpose of my conversation with them. It's not all, I don't talk to people, believe it or not, when I talk to people about coming here, I don't talk to them at all about leads and contracts and training and all that stuff. I talk to them about bonuses and ownership, because bonuses, see, what you're trying to catch, I think we had this conversation, okay? What you're trying to catch determines the bait you use. And if you're trying to catch producers, then when you talk to people about coming here, you talk about leads and contracts and training. Producers love that, okay? But if you're looking for builders like me, because I don't recruit to sell. I don't recruit to get people to come sell. I recruit to build. I recruit to add to my leadership team, because that's another locomotive. I'm looking for rail cars. I'm looking for locomotives. And so I know that what attracts builders is ownership and bonuses. And so that's what I talk about with these people. And so I want to try to make it, the system I have, Brian, is pretty simple. I want to make it easy for them to get in and hard for them to get out. I want to be easy for them to get in. That means I want it to be attractive to them so they get in. I want to make it hard for them to get out by the way we treat them once they're in. Simple.
Muted. All right. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. It's so true. And we can spend all our time talking about the details, or we can spend all of our time talking about how this thing is so good that the details really won't matter once we start doing it, because
Right.
I was told a long time ago, when I was struggling, and it was Brandon Ellison and Casey Watkins both told me this at different times. They said, you're going to look back on this moment in the future with where you're going and who you're going to be doing that with and who you're going to be going there with, and you're going to have been willing to work 10 times harder. You're going to look back and see that this was not a mountain, it was a molehill, and that with a perspective of success, with that finish line perspective, where you're looking at how hard it was, you're going to say, wow, for how good this is, that wasn't really hard at all. That wasn't really hard at all. But we can get caught up in the moment, thinking that this moment and how hard things are the only thing that exists. And that's what we see winners do. They can just look a little further down the road to see where it's going to come up and meet their feet. And they're able to see that day when it's not the problems that I'm having right now, but the success I will be having. That's what makes it worth it. That's what makes it worth it. The people who I'm going to be having this success with, the people where I'm building a team full of people who I trust, who I'd love to see get free. That's what the difference is. When I see Laurie Hamilton, who's here as a result of Brian and Rachel Jernigan sharing this experience, sharing their experience with this company, sharing what's possible here with this company, both through their example and through the stories that they tell. And they invite somebody like a Laurie Hamilton in, and just watching her get free and become a top producer, become somebody who's having influence over other people, watching her financially free herself and not have to think about money anymore. I think about how when Jordan Hunt started in this organization and how he put me on the phone with time after time with just other people, not who just needed this, but who really wanted it, who wanted something different in their life. They didn't want a sales gig. They wanted an opportunity to get free, to not have to keep going around the sun every single time and having things be just about the same, where things would really change as they changed, because they couldn't find that where they were, and they found that here. And that's what I love to see for people, because when we're doing this together, when we're doing this with other people, whether it's Crossline where I call you and I say, hey, Danny, what would you say here when somebody texts you this? And you go up on my text screen, you say, well, what'd you start with? I'm saying, well, how are things going? And he said, I wouldn't start there. I wouldn't start there, because I can't do anything about how things are going for somebody. I can only do something about making sure that this business and their bank account is a bright spot in their life, And that's what we're really here to do. And I appreciate all the wisdom that you've poured into me over the years. Let's see, sometimes I get scared. Yeah. So there's all the wisdom that you poured into me, my leaders, the team, just this whole group of leaders that I get to do business with, and other people that you've affected without even knowing it. I'm sure out of the 94 people who are on this, about 93 of them can say that your words it impacted the way that they do business, the way that they think about their business. And sometimes we get into positions in this business where we start to look at Switchboard, Razor Ridge leads, MyQuility, the RX card, this thing, that thing. We start to look at that, and it takes our focus off what's important. What message do you share with your team to just continue to focus on, hey, what we need here, not solutions to these problems, but new writers who we're going to solve these problems with, and we can just keep this business just as simple as it's ever been.
Well, the answer to any problem that you can think of in this business is more people. It solves every single. You couldn't invent a problem that more people wouldn't solve. And so when I've done this since day one here. I focus on writers and new writers. I don't even look at premium very much at all, because that's the result. Premium is a result of something. Okay, it's the more writers you have. You look at the by the numbers every week. Okay, if Marshall's on top with premium, it means Marshall's on top with writers. It's Marshall, Edward, or Edward Marshall, Linwood, Danny, Brian. It's all the APV tracks the writers, and so I don't push APV. I don't talk about it on my call at all, hardly. But I talk about writers and new writers. I shine a light every Sunday night on new writers. Okay, and we had 34 new writers for the week a couple of weeks ago. Okay, because I know. Look, understand this: if you're going to build a team, the heat on your team comes from the bottom. It's new writers, because you're going to lose current writers, it's going to be too hard for some people. Something's going to happen in their life and they're going to disappear. Okay. They never come in and say, look, this is too hard. I resign. They just evaporate. So you're going to have attrition. That's why you have to bring in new people, but you can't just bring in enough to make up for those that just quit. That's not growth. Okay. You have to grow. So I look, Brian, I mean, I think I showed you this other night. In January, we had 339 writers for the month, January of this year. In September, we had 510. See, you need to look at your numbers because you can't have, say, 12, 11, 12, 13, 12, 11. That's not growth. Your numbers tell you if you're growing. And so if you look at your numbers, look at them from January 1st through September. And if you're not growing, then you need to counsel with Brian or something, because I've learned a long time ago, you just can't keep doing more of what's not working and expect it to work. It may be one little tweak. And the tweak I did, Brian, is I started focusing on new writers. I recognize new writers, the people that have new writers. I've got 53 agency managers. Our record for a week is 19 had at least one new writer. 19 out of 53. That sounds like it sucks, but apparently it's the best we can do right now until I get more people to buy into new writers. Because new writers, look, understand this, you may recruit one person that changes your entire future. You don't know. That's why you got to go get a bunch of them. You don't know. But you can't go get one and expect that one to be the one. I promise you, he's not going to be. You got to get a bunch. Okay. And that's what I shine a light on, Brian. And understand is what you focus on grows, good or bad. You focus on how bad last week was, this week's going to be bad. Okay. What you focus on grows 100% of the time. And I just try to get all my people to focus on getting new people. But there's 3.9 million people right now in the United States working a second gig. 3.9 million. We recruit not that many. Okay. So they're out there. They just don't know they don't know where we exist. It's our job. We have to go find those people. Okay. I've taken way more of your time, Brian, than
oh no, you've given way more of your time. That's what you've done, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. What's it like, Danny? I know I saw you come in with a handful of people who were they saw the same opportunity that you did. You decided to come in very late 2013, very early 2014. I watched you within 5 short years grow an amazing business, and in that 5 short years, it turned out that was as small as your business would ever get. Getting to know you over these last almost 10 years, over this last decade, has been awesome. I love how your life is so much different. I do too. I'm sure you do. I was pulling up to your house. I was like, oh, this is a beautiful house. Your daughter lives right around the corner. You were able to provide her with a place to live, her and her son. We've got to go out to dinner the other night. And then I was thinking, man, this house is gorgeous. And you guys just built it a few years ago. And you're like, let me show you something. And we go into your new neighborhood. We're pulling up to your new house. And I find out that Danny Young, this house got too small, right? And now he's building a 5,500 square foot house. And I heard you say that one of your relatives had said, why are you building this house? You don't need a house this big. And I loved Sandy's response to it. So if you don't mind just talking a little bit about how things have changed for you over the years, and also your response to Sandy's response actually to that question.
Yeah, Sandy and I just made 53 years about a month and a half ago, and in about 40 of those years, we talked about money every day. Every day, okay. We didn't have one conversation about having too much, but we talked about money every day, and it was like, I would ask, well, why don't you write that check? You knew it wasn't going to clear. No, her answer was, why didn't you have more money in the bank? Okay. So these are the kind of conversations that we had. But see, when you come here and you build something, starting with you, when you build you, which allows you to build an agency, you're going to get to the point. Brian got there, I got there. Let me tell you something. It's a marvelous day when you get to this one particular day where you wake up one day and you realize that the money is just not going to stop. See, now, we had decades where every decision we made were based on what we had in our account that day. See, we don't think like that anymore. See, we still have conversations about money. It's just that conversation about what can we do to help somebody else that can't help themselves, okay? Because, your success here is going to be determined by what you get, but your significance is going to be determined by what you give. And Symmetry allows us to give to a lot of different people, places, things that need it. And so we're building another house because, Brian, I told you, there's two of us living in this house. I mean, good Lord. And this house was too small. It's like 2,500 square feet, something like that. It's a nice house on the corner, but the reason we're building this new house, this is my two reasons, okay? Number one, because Sandy Young deserves this house, okay? Sandy Young's always wanted a Southern, whatever I don't even know what they call it, Brian. What do you call that? Southern something house, big pillars on the front and that sort of thing. But that's the number one reason. Second reason is because we can, and that's our answer to people. Why are you building a house? You don't need a house that big. No, I don't need it that big. Okay. I want it that big. See, we've gone way past doing things we have to do. And now we just do things we want to do. That's a lot better way to live, I think. I've done both. I would prefer this one. My only thing is I wish I was your age. If I could change that, I would change that. But hey, getting wealthy anytime before you die, I think is a good idea. And everybody on this call has the opportunity to do that. You have the opportunity to, we're in a money buffet here. It's what we do. And you can get as much money out of that buffet as you want to work for, but you got to work. And most of the work needs to be done on yourself initially until you get to the point where you can handle an awful lot of people. And when you can do that, you can't imagine the impact you can have on the world.
Love that. What kind of house do you deserve? What kind of house does your family deserve? Does your spouse deserve? Do your kids deserve? What kind of lifestyle? What kind of generosity are you going to have the opportunity to display by just getting into that place where you can really help and benefit those people who can't help and benefit themselves, and build a team full of people who are interested in doing the very same things. Where else can you go? I think that this is such an amazing opportunity. Sometimes our focus can get stuck right by our feet, but when we pick our chin up, when we start looking at the other people around us, whether those are clients who are ready to protect their stuff, or those are future business partners who are ready for something different, to own their future, to own their business, to grow an agency where they can be a person of impact, where they can not get what Symmetry has to give them, but become the person that Symmetry is set up to make them.
Right.
That's where things really start to change. And in doing that, you become a big part of this opportunity, and you've absolutely impacted my life. And so fired up to do this with you, and for other people just to share in our conversation, learn from you, and take the next step. And the next step for me, getting off of this, is I'm fired up to see later this week. I know Zach Hutchinson already has some interviews set up. He wanted to plug some people into me. I know a lot of these leaders, Chris Ripple, Rob Purley, as we're growing here, the Jernigans, all of the agency owners. I know Mike Block does this as well. And here I go naming names again, going to get myself in trouble, but all of you are setting up these conversations. Amanda Rudloff, setting up these conversations with your people to demonstrate this is how we can talk to these people, to help them make the decision for themselves, to commit to something different. Not what's easy, but what's worth it. What's worth it? What's going to change their life? What's going to have the biggest impact? And I just can't thank you enough for the impact that you've had on myself, on the other leaders that I get to do business with, and Tori in my life. If you ever get the chance, sit down for a lunch dinner with Danny Young. I think we did a breakfast, lunch, and dinner one day, and really not only taught me about this business, but how to be a better husband, how to be a better father, how to show up in this life better as a person. And so can't thank you enough. Can't express my gratitude enough for what you do and all that you are. So thank you, Danny.
Brian, my pleasure. You're one of my favorite people on earth. I promise you. I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you. You're the kind of person that I'd rather be more like you, to tell you the truth. Seriously.
Well,
Seriously.
yeah, I'll tell you,
I don't want to live out, in the middle of nowhere, but I need people around in case I fall down. I need somebody to hear me, So, but other than that, you're just one of my favorite people, and Sandy Young's favorite people in the whole thing. You and your wife. Good Lord.
yeah,
So we'll do this again anytime.
absolutely, absolutely. Always willing to pour into your team as well. And we have a big week coming up. We've got Switchboard Pro training to allow you to just gain expertise and be able to look over top of these new technologies, these new evolutions in our business that are making this business better for you, where you can take over the country, really make a big dent in this business with the people who are around you from anywhere in the country. And just to do that, meet people where they are now. So tomorrow we have SFG1, we have SFG free. We're coming to do that Switchboard Pro training with some experts who are going to help that. Rob Purley is going to help facilitate that, make sure that you're getting answers to your questions, just like we did with the FIF reset. And the biggest thing, so fired up to hear from those of you, and for you for those of you who are ready to build a team, ready to do this with some of the people who really do deserve this, an opportunity like this to change their lives, to just plug those in and have those conversations with people. Just make a commitment to yourself, and make a commitment, more importantly, to those people, to the people who are looking for it a lot harder than you happen to be looking for them right now, for who's going to be the next person who changes this opportunity, just like so many of you have come in and changed this opportunity. Wednesday, we've got our builders and our national call. On Thursday, of course, we have our building call, a lot of SFG1, quite a few of the leaders. We're coming in to do a leadership training. Later this week, we have our 5th annual Wicked Halloween 5K. We have so many things going on. And just being able to do things like that to support local charities, also to have fun and get stuff done. So, there's a lot of a big week ahead of us. I know in production, a lot of you are hitting that slingshot. Remember, 5,000, for that slingshot in your first month puts you in a place where you're going to earn about 3,500. 10,000 is going to put you in a place where you earn just about $9,000 in your first month. 20,000 in production. Now you're earning more than you actually wrote, right? You put yourself into this position where you can use that slingshot bonus and in order to help yourself and your team get to the next level. We're going to be helping you with all that, being supportive along the way, just as everybody's trying to make their best better. So thank you so much. Thank you, Danny. Thank you to all of you who
Appreciate it, Brian.
here. And yeah, absolutely. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you this week.